Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. It's a couple minutes after 7, and I'm sure there's a few more people that will pop on, and we'll go ahead and get you admitted and get them admitted as soon as we can. So I want to thank everybody this evening for being here. My name is Michelle Moser, and I own Maker's Compounding Pharmacy. I'm one of the pharmacists that you would speak with when you call into the store. But tonight, I want to introduce Dr. Camille Koontz. She's been caring for people in different roles for over 20 years. She started her healthcare journey as a phlebotomist just out of high school. She worked as a nursing assistant through college, and her first career was in nursing. She spends time to get to know people and values that her patients feel seen and heard. Her second career as a naturopathic physician was born out of the feeling there's got to be a better way. Frustrated with how poorly our conventional healthcare system works to get people healthy, she went back to school to learn how to help people get to wellness. She's been in practice in Bellingham since 2016. She is known for helping people to get to the root of their health problems. She has a particular interest in treating conditions like fatigue, hormone balance, stress-related symptoms, menopause, metabolic problems like cholesterol or diabetes, and weight gain. She has additional training in body works and offers hands-on treatment of musculoskeletal problems such as back pain, neck tension, and headaches. 2 years ago, she bought the longest running naturopathic practice in Bellingham, the Northwestern Clinic of Naturopathic Medicine, also known as NCNM. And she is proud to carry on the legacy of this clinic that has been in service in Bellingham for over 45 years. She and her team of wellness professionals are on a mission to help as many people achieve better health so they can get back to living the life of their dreams. So Dr. Camille Koontz, thank you so much for being here. I can hardly wait to enjoy this session. And I'm thrilled to have you here. And also wanted to let everybody know that we do have a chat room. So if you have questions, you're more than welcome to ask. But if you'd prefer to type in your questions in the chat, please do that as well. Dr. Camille, take it away.
Thanks so much, Michelle. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you everyone for taking the time tonight to be here with us. I love Maker's Pharmacy, and when this opportunity came up, I couldn't wait to jump on it. Michelle has been there many steps along the way, helping me help patients, because we can create some really unique medicines for the really unique protocols that I use. So thank you for being here. All right, let's see if I can get this thing rolling here. Oh, before we get started, I just wanted to introduce you. Some of my team is on with us tonight. Dr. Eva Wilson is one of the doctors at our practice, and Marcia is our front desk extraordinaire. And they're going to be on, and they're going to be in the chat room. So if you guys have questions, anything that comes up during the presentation, they'll be there. All right, so this is me. I'm Dr. Koontz. I am super passionate about your health. Like Michelle said, I've been through a lot of different evolutions, shall we say, through healthcare. And as a naturopathic doctor, I just feel really honored to be able to practice the type of medicine that I do. Here is the wellness team. This is us standing in front of our clinic here in Bellingham. We get to practice in this really cool old house. And like Michelle said, it's been here for over 40 years as a naturopathic clinic. This is the team. And we've been working really hard to perfect the ways that we offer healthcare. And we've been getting some really amazing results because we take a different approach. So I want to invite you to give yourself permission to give this your full attention. Let's limit distractions. Let's turn off cell phones. If you can, go into a room, close the door so you're not going to get disrupted. Because I feel like I have some things that maybe you haven't heard before tonight, and I really want to make sure you don't miss it. Okay, so here's what we're going to cover tonight in the presentation. We're going to be talking about America's healthcare crisis. We're going to be talking about the underlying causes that no one's talking about. And we're also going to be talking about how to take action to protect your health naturally. So this is going to be time well spent. We need to know how we got here so we can avoid this coming up in the future. We've seen some serious changes like the COVID shutdowns, and today I want to really empower you. This is going to be a message of hope, and we're going to talk about how to take back control of your health. I do want to encourage everyone who's on to stay to the end, because there's going to be an offer tonight, and I've heard that there's going to be some gifts too. So stick with us till the end. It's going to be worth your time. So we need to have a serious conversation, and here's the opportunity to get involved in this conversation. This isn't going to be a presentation where I'm just going to be up here yakking at you guys. I really want to engage you. Those who join in the conversation get the most out of this webinar. So first question, how many medications do you guys think the average American takes on a daily basis? Okay, Michelle said about 13. Anybody else in the chat? Open your chat room. Here we go. All right, Marcia thinks 3.
Half a dozen to 10.
What's that, Bets?
Half a dozen to 10.
All right, half a dozen to 10. Good guess. So the answer is about 4. The average American takes about 4 medications. And think of all the people who don't take any. So if the average is 4, then Michelle and Bets, you guys are probably close to what a lot of people end up having to take. So this woman who's in this picture is in what I call the disease management model. The aim of this model is based on short-term solutions. It's based on managing symptoms with medications. The problem is a lot of people don't know that they have a choice. They get stuck in the system, they get prescribed a medication, and then they're told to just stay on it. Maybe they're having a side effect, and so then they're taking another medication to manage the side effect. And unfortunately, especially in my nursing career, I would see people taking way too many pills every day. And I want the message today is that you have another choice. That if you are feeling like you're stuck in that system, your doctor has been prescribing more and more medications, we can do something different. I want to share Vicky's story with you. So Vicky, here, let me get this slid over here. So she said, I joined this program not sure of what to expect. I thought I could do the program for 6 months. 6 months of my life, not that long, I could do that. Well, it changed my life. I lost 40 pounds, my digestive problems went away, and I no longer needed anti-inflammatory drugs. And she's decreased her other medications. So she picked another way. She found another solution outside of the system and got some great results. Vicky's in her 70s. And the other thing that I think we can learn from Vicky's story is that anyone can change their health at any age, no matter where they are on their health journey. So a little bit more about this healthcare crisis that we're in. I think that we've learned some things from COVID-19 and the reality of how that's affected our health. 133 million Americans have at least one chronic disease. CDC estimates that about 6 out of 10 adults have at least one. About 40% have 2 or more chronic diseases. And when I say chronic diseases, I'm talking about things like cancer, diabetes, COPD, obesity, hypertension or high blood pressure, heart disease. About 70% of Americans are overweight. And about 42% are estimated to be considered obese. So 90% of the cases of COVID that ended up in the hospital and ended up having complications or even had death from COVID, guess what they all had in common? Chronic disease. So if we can find a way to solve this chronic disease picture, we can solve a lot. The message here is that it doesn't have to be this way. COVID revealed that, yeah, a lot of people are having chronic disease. I think we have a little bit more of a reality of how many people are sick in our country because of this virus. All right, so unacceptable costs and unacceptable outcomes. Here's where I think the crisis really hits rock bottom. We're spending way more than other countries on insurance and medical costs, and we're not getting the results. So 3.5 million spent annually on healthcare. 90% of that 3.5 trillion is spent on chronic disease. Double the amount of other developed nations, 70% of all deaths caused by top 5 chronic diseases. And here's the sad part. The US is ranked 37 out of 40. That's not a good ranking. We want to be like 1 or 2. That's where we want to be. So basically, we're spending a ton of money, throwing it at chronic disease, and our people aren't healthier for it. So why is this happening? So who here has seen an infomercial or a commercial claiming to have the next best thing for wellness and health? I mean, anybody?
Every day.
We've all seen this. We are spammed all day, every day with this kind of information. And is this good information? Most of it, no. Here's an opportunity to throw an idea in the chat. Does anyone remember the name of this contraption that this lady is exercising on? This one was called the ab circle. And it's things like this that people are throwing a lot of money at. You know, I think their intentions are in the right place and they're looking for health solutions, but a lot of times we're on the wrong path. There's a lot of dubious behavior in the health industry. It really just frankly ticks me off. I think that you deserve to have clear information to get results. All right, so here's just a little bit more about my story. This is my wake-up call. Like I said, was a nurse in the hospital system. That was my first career. And I spent the majority of that time in intensive care unit. And I wanted to be helping people and helping them to be healthier. And it just, more and more, I could see that we were patching people up and sending them home, that the hospital system really was set up to get people stable enough to get them home, but we were missing this huge piece of, well, how do we get them healthier so they don't keep coming back to the hospital? And so that was where I really had a fork in the road and decided, well, I have to go back to school to be able to figure this out, because we were delaying death and we were getting people well enough to get back home, which I'm not discrediting it. That's an important role. But so much of the time we were missing that quality of life piece. I knew in my bones there had to be more to health than just patching people up and sending them home. I kept asking myself the question, why didn't someone teach these folks how to eat differently, how to avoid some of these modifiable risks? And so that was really my wake-up call, that I had to break from the conventional system and had to find another way. So we can eliminate exposure, or we can't eliminate exposure, but we can. Here's the things that we can do. We can be proactive. We can get the right information. We can eliminate risk factors. We can find the underlying cause. We can boost our immune system, minimize stress, and take action. So the key word here is proactive. If we're proactive in every aspect of health, we completely change the playing ground. If you get accurate information from a credible source, you change some habits in your life, you can reduce or eliminate these risk factors that lead to chronic disease. So these are what I think are some of the key missing pieces. Detox. We're exposed to toxins every day and our body needs to process and eliminate these. Nutrition. We need to demystify this. There's 100 different ways, 1,000 different ways to do nutrition, and some of them compete with each other. So it gets really confusing really quickly. It's about finding an individualized approach to nutrition. Fitness. More time doing cardio is not the answer to weight loss. If there's one thing you can walk away from this webinar with, is more cardio. If it's not working, it's not the answer. It's strength training. Hormones. Hormone imbalances drive many symptoms, and they are an underlying problem with a lot of chronic disease. So rebalancing hormones is a foundation to good health. And then the last piece that I think is missing a lot of times in people's ways of approaching their health is finding a mentor, finding someone who has already walked the steps, already knows how to get there so that they can be there for you, helping you step through the process. ABC, 1, 2, 3, this is how to do it. Here we go. So finding someone that you trust to guide you through a system of addressing all these missing pieces, I think is key. If it's missing, it's likely why you're not getting results. So we've been a little bit brainwashed. Part of the healthcare crisis is that the first thought that we've been trained to have if we have a symptom or a problem is, what medical condition do they have? And then the second thought is, what drug do they need? So we want to know the name of our disease, and then we want to know, well, what pill do we take to fix that? And who's taught us how to think this way? Well, we'll get back to all those commercials. How many of us are seeing the commercials where they're telling you about the drug and the woman is running across the ocean, you know, everyone looks happy and perfect. And then of course you get to the end where it's all of the disclaimers of all the side effects. But billions of dollars are being spent in marketing to try and help us see that pharmaceuticals are the way to get healthy. What that means is that thyroid, diabetes, autoimmunity, hormone imbalances, those in the conventional system, in that way of thinking, they become prescriptions for life. This is how we've been trained to think about our health, but this is not the way that we have to think about our health. I think just understanding this and being aware of it is key. All right, so here's another question for you. If this happens in my car and the check engine light comes on, I take it to the mechanic, he takes it in the back, he turns off the light, he resets the light, gives me back my car. What's going to happen in a couple of days? What do you guys think?
The car will break down.
The car could totally break down. Maybe that check engine light meant something. Anyone else?
You'll be back in the shop.
Yeah, at the very least, that check engine light's going to come back on, right? Because it was telling us something was wrong, and all we did was reset the light. So I think this is just a good analogy of how to think about a lot of the medications that are prescribed a lot. If we use the example of blood pressure, you have high blood pressure, you go to the doctor, they give you blood pressure medication. It lowers your blood pressure. But what happens if you stop the medication? The blood pressure goes back up. We didn't actually fix the problem. The medication lowered it. And yes, it's helpful to manage the disease, but it didn't actually fix the problem. And in this scenario, if we let the blood pressure go and we take the medication, but we don't change any of the modifiable risk factors for it, over time, we might get some more check engine lights, because that's hard on the kidneys, and taking the medications is hard on some of our other organs. So if you are here, if you have a couple of check engine lights already illuminated and you're already taking some medication, it is not too late to stop and reverse and address this. But I really want to make sure that everyone's understanding that there is a different way. So this comes directly from Medicare. And Medicare sets the standard for all insurance, all the other insurance companies. They're saying that care that seeks to prevent disease, promote health, and prolong or enhance the quality of life is not medically necessary. First time I read this, my jaw just, it totally dropped, because it's so aggravating, and it totally makes sense. Why, when I give someone a treatment plan, or I run some labs for them, or I recommend something that I know is going to help their disease process, half the time insurance won't cover it. It makes sense, because what I'm after is enhancing the quality of life, promoting health. I'll be willing to bet that some of you have asked your doctor to order more tests and help you find out what's wrong. And maybe some of you were told, no, sorry, that test, I can't run it, or it's not medically necessary. The truth is, you have to take ownership of your health. You have to invest in your health, because insurance will not pay for it. Insurance will pay for things like getting a diagnosis, some imaging if you need it. They'll pay for some labs, surgeries, drugs. What they will not pay for is things like health education and health promotion, getting to the root cause. So the question becomes, are you willing to do something different? Insurance pays to manage your disease. Do you want things managed, or do you want them fixed? So here's a question. Who here thinks that health is our biggest asset? And who thinks that our health is worth investing in? Yeah, show of hands. I personally do. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of hands. So I want to share Beta's story with you. This is one of the best things I've done for myself. I was experiencing constant issues with my weight, blood sugar, and my brain, and they've all been completely resolved. It's worth every penny, and they've made it so easy. She took ownership of her health, I think is the real message here with Beta. This is what happens when you step outside of the box and do something different. So I want everyone to just take a moment and think about, what is your why? And your why is the thing that is driving your desire to want to be healthier, to want to feel better, to want to reclaim how your life is going in regards to your health. This is me and my husband. We're out on the water here in Puget Sound. My why is, I want to live a long and active life with my husband, Josh. I want to have the energy after having a long day of clinic to come home and have some energy for him, to have enough energy to cook some dinner and spend time with him. And when we are retired, be able to really enjoy ourselves. So I want you all to make a mental note of your why. Getting clarity on your why it's a really key piece of this. So who depends on you? I think a lot of people, when they think of their health, they think it's just their business. And that might be true, unless you're married or you have children or you have family. Most of us live in community and have people who care about us and depend on us. So if you're looking to change your health and you're not sure whether you have the willpower or the determination, I just want to rephrase this a little bit. Your health or lack of it affects everyone in your family. If you can't find the determination to make changes for yourself, do it for those who are counting on you. So I want to kind of change gears here a little bit and talk about some of the symptoms that can be showing up for your body, that can be the language of your body and how it's telling us that something's going wrong. This might be you, tired, sluggish, fatigued. I see a ton of fatigue in my practice. Fatigue is not normal. I think a lot of people want to normalize it because so many of us are fatigued now. But if you're tired and you're sleeping enough and you're doing all the things that should recharge your batteries and you're not feeling energized, we gotta dig a little deeper and figure out why. Bowel difficulty. Again, this is not normal either. I think I talk to a lot of people, mostly guys. Sorry, guys, I'm going to throw you under the bus a little bit. So like, oh, it's just a little IBS. It's just a little constipation, kind of whatever. But digestive symptoms over time can lead to worse inflammation, worse immune dysfunction. And so if you're not having normal digestive function, again, it's a symptom that is telling us that there's something else going on, and we definitely want to look into that. The other piece is this might be really affecting your day-to-day life. Maybe it's keeping you from going out, enjoying life. Some people, they can't go out unless they know that there's a bathroom really close by. And that's just so limiting. That breaks my heart. Some people just accepted this, but we can do something about it and get to the root of it. Another common symptom I'm seeing is depression. Depression rates have really gone up in the past year. COVID and social isolation have really taken a toll. But remember, depression is a symptom. And do you really want to manage it with an antidepressant, which is what you're going to get if you talk to your primary care doctor? Most times, that's their tool. They're going to reach for an antidepressant. Or do you want to get to the bottom of why you're depressed? That's the thinking outside of the box. I'm seeing a ton of anxiety. We're living in such a time of uncertainty right now, and anxiety rates have really gone up. I just had a patient today. Been working with her for 3 or 4 weeks, 80% improvement on her anxiety. We're thrilled. We're thrilled with those results. Wouldn't it be nice to have a plan to get your health back on track and feel like your old self again? You can take action and resolve these underlying imbalances. Sleep disturbances or insomnia are another symptom to look for. Certain types of insomnia are caused by different underlying imbalances. So trouble falling asleep is often an issue with melatonin and sleep hygiene. And sleep hygiene is just habits and behaviors around your sleep cycle that help to promote your natural physiology or your natural hormone signaling around that. Melatonin and cortisol are the bookends of your circadian rhythm. And sleep hygiene is helping to promote that healthy response. Waking up in the middle of the night, can't go back to sleep, is another common insomnia that I see. And that's usually driven more by cortisol dysregulation or adrenal fatigue. And there's really simple ways to get at this if this is the underlying cause of the insomnia. Weight gain is another one that I'm seeing a lot of in my practice, and it's something that a lot of people are really looking for answers for. You might be carrying a little more weight than usual, and even though you exercise and you're eating the way that you used to, and it worked, you could trim down. Getting rid of stubborn weight is a process of treating the underlying imbalances and learning the right kinds of exercise to make sure that you're eating the right foods too. And it's all individualized. What's going to be right for one of you is not going to be the right formula for the next. We have to individualize this. I am not a fan of fad diets. I just see too much yo-yoing and too much mindset problems. People just get kind of mixed up with good foods and bad foods. And so I'm not a proponent of that. I'm always looking for a way that we're going to sustainably get you to a healthy weight over time. So I wanted to share this story with you. She says, I finally given up my efforts to lose weight and be healthier. After 25 years of diet program after diet program, yo-yo after yo-yo, I felt totally hopeless and no longer cared. I weighed 194 pounds and I'm only 5'5", so I felt defeated. Now after losing 50 plus pounds, I'm feeling stronger and looking better than ever. But I've also been taking notice of all the smaller benefits. My fingernails are stronger and growing for the first time in my life. My nose no longer constantly itching from allergies. My joints feel better. I no longer feel like an elderly woman when I'm trying to rise from the floor. The brain fog has lifted. I mentally function so much better at work. Gone is my negative self-esteem and depression over my fat, unhealthy body. When you hate yourself, it's hard to be loving to your family and friends and coworkers. However, that's all changed unexpectedly. I've had a return of my libido. That's my husband's favorite part. But I'm finding true joy in living the rest of my life on this planet. Healthy is the best kind of journey to be on. Another symptom can be mood swings and feeling like there's some emotional ups and downs. This is true for men and women. When we don't feel well, let's face it, we get snippy with each other. We get snippy with the people at home. And this makes for an unhappy home life. Symptoms are the language of the body. We got to get out of this, that the symptom is the problem. Think of it as your body trying to talk to you. It's telling us what the problem is. We just got to listen. We just got to figure out which body system needs to be supported and re-energized. Okay, so changing gears a little bit here. We want to make sure that we're testing and not guessing. To get to the root cause, we have to do the right tests. Lab ranges are not helpful to determine problems with function, how your body is functioning. And here's why. The bell curve is used for a lot of the ranges. So if the doctor says your blood sugar is normal, they're going to say it's from here to here, and 90% of people are going to fit into that normal range. So only 10% of people are going to actually be outside of that normal range. And so you can see why it's really frustrating that you feel unwell, you go to the doc, they order some labs, you get your lab test back, and everything's normal, and they say, you look good, pat you on the head, and out you go. I hear that story so many times in my practice. And this is part of why. It's how they establish these normal ranges. Functional testing is a lot more sensitive, and our ranges are a lot more optimal. So they're with specialty testing, we're way more able to find these functional problems, what's going on in the organ that needs to be addressed. So let's use testosterone as an example here. So the normal range, the conventional range here would be that 200 to 800. And what if we test and we find out that it's down at 250? Well, if the person is at 250, they're technically normal. But in my practice, if they're exhibiting all of the symptoms of low testosterone, I'm not going to rest until we've managed those symptoms and we've gotten to getting the hormone balanced. Maybe in this scenario, this person feels better when their testosterone is more at 650. And that's when their symptoms start to resolve. The language of the body gets quiet because it's happy, it's more balanced. Cortisol is another good example. I've seen a lot of people asking for cortisol testing, even with their conventional providers. And if you test one cortisol, it might be here, and they might say, you're good. But the reality is with cortisol testing, you have to know what's happening the rest of the day, or you're missing half of the piece. So in this scenario, the rest of the day, it's significantly below where we would expect it to be. And that would be how we would determine a cortisol imbalance or adrenal fatigue. So we have to test. We have to figure out what it is that's going on for each person. So which one do you think you might have? You know, we got to test. We got to find out what the underlying problem is. Maybe it's hypothyroid. Maybe it's prediabetes or diabetes and blood sugar problems. Maybe it's adrenal stress or hormone imbalance. Maybe it's toxicities or something going on with the gastrointestinal system. We can do a lot of pretty cool stool testing to determine what's going on with the gut. Nervous system interference, that usually is toxicities. Or maybe there's something like an autoimmune disease going on, and that's why nothing has really come up in the labs. That can be kind of a difficult one to diagnose. So we want to test to properly identify which problem is causing why you're feeling unwell. Okay. So here's a hint. What type of stress do you think this is on the body? We're going to talk about 3 different kinds of stress. Any takers? Any brave souls want to guess? You can throw it in the chat, or if you're unmuted, you can share. Come on, guys. Are you awake still?
We just call it typical stress, like everyday standard American diet, sad kind of stress.
Mary, thank you. Diet. Michelle, thank you. Absolutely. No bueno, Suzanne says. So 3 different types of stress. We've got physical stress. That's going to be things like old injuries, maybe a motor vehicle accident. These things happen to us and then they become stresses on the system. And that can be part of what's contributing to your current situation. I'm calling this chemical stress. So all of the foods in this image are mostly just chemicals. Let's be real. Junk food is not really food. So that it's a burden and a stress on the body. And that's why we're looking at it. The pills and the syringe are just to remind us that medications, the things that we think are helping us, can be adding a chemical stress on the body. And who here thinks that emotional stress has an effect on our health? Yeah, we've all been in arguments. We've all been under the gun for something. And yeah, it definitely affects how we feel. And over time, it can really cause a lot of problems with cortisol and adrenals. All right, so are you ready for a wake-up call? How can we do what it takes to reclaim our health? So this is the how you could get your health back. You can be proactive. You can get the right information. You can eliminate risk factors. We've talked a lot about the risk factors. There's ways to get around them and eliminate those. Finding the underlying cause, boosting your immune system, minimizing stress, and taking action. So let's talk about the 5 pillars, how you can get your health back. So remember those missing pieces. These are the pillars that I encourage you to think about when you're taking back control of your health. And we're going to go through each of these individually now, and I'll give you some detail on them. So first one I always start with, because this is foundational, and I think everyone in here knows it. We all know to a significant degree that food is our medicine. What we put in our bodies makes a huge difference in how we feel and how our cells can function. So I like this definition of nutrition. This is from the dictionary. That which is eaten to sustain life, provide energy, and promote growth and repair of tissues. So when you're making your food choices, ask yourself, is this promoting growth and repair of tissues? Because that's what we should be putting on our plates and in our grocery carts. Some of you are trying to make really good food choices, and some of you are probably eating relatively well, but you're still not getting results. If your system has a buildup of toxic substances or your gut lining is not intact, then you're probably not absorbing the healthy organic food that maybe you're eating. So there's many symptoms we went over earlier, and so many of those are driven by the gut. There's an old saying in naturopathic medicine that when in doubt, treat the gut. And what that's alluding to is that so many of the symptoms that we just went over, if you treat the gut, almost all of those have the potential to get a lot better. Detox. I don't want anyone to get scared here. This is not a hose up the backside. This is not the weekend warrior detox box from the health food store where you're spending the weekend in the bathroom. It's not what I'm talking about. Detox is something that your body does every day. It's essential for balancing neurotransmitters and hormones. Toxins poke holes in our gut. Glyphosate, what is getting sprayed on the food here, causes leaky gut. And with the advent of GMO foods, the one thing that we do know about it is there's more glyphosate on those foods because that's part of why they engineered them the way they do. They can put more Roundup on it and get higher yields of food. So leaky gut, the reason that's a problem is it equals inflammation. And inflammation will tie back to a lot of those symptoms that we were talking about earlier. So detox is a foundational piece. Fitness. There's nothing worse than going to the gym and not getting results that you're looking for. You need the right exercise, and it doesn't have to take a ton of your time. Depending on where you're at, simply getting moving might be the next step. And let's get real. We all have busy lives. We want to find the best exercise for you to get results and make it something that you're going to look forward to. It's not the thing that you have to check off the to-do list. It's something that you get to do, that it's you time. All right, so here's a fun little exercise that we get to do together. We've got fat burning and fat storing hormones. And there's roughly about 600 hormones in the body, give or take. We're going to talk about insulin, cortisol, and estrogen. And they're absolutely necessary. These are not bad hormones, but if they're in excess, they can cause a lot of problems in the body. So here I have an image of maybe a typical breakfast. And I'm curious, who can tell me which one of these items would be able to spike estrogen? Are there any foods on this image that are going to drive estrogen up?
Well, at least 3, the juice, apple, and cereal. I don't know about the coffee.
Okay, good guesses, yeah. Anyone else?
Well, I see the cereal potentially, but the insulin might be the apple and the orange drink.
Okay, good guesses. So the thing that would drive estrogen specifically, this is kind of a tricky one. It would be the milk that's in that cereal. Because if you think about it, a lot of milk comes in plastic jugs, right? Plastic can leach into your liquids and it acts like estrogen in the body. So a lot of excess estrogen is from plastic. How about insulin? I think I already heard it. Insulin is what it gets spiked if we have something that's a carbohydrate or a sugar. So I would say the granola cereal here, that would spike insulin. That orange juice, no doubt. When you take the fiber out of fruit and you create a juice like this, it has the potential to spike insulin much greater than if you were to eat the whole orange. And then how about cortisol? Which one of these items would spike cortisol?
Coffee.
Dang.
Coffee.
Coffee. Yeah, here's my rule of thumb with coffee. I love coffee. I don't demonize it, but don't drink it after noon because you have a natural cortisol rise in the morning. It's okay to have a little bit of caffeine in the morning as long as your system's handling it. But if you're reaching for it in the afternoon, that's a good sign that you've got some cortisol issues going on. Good job, guys. Good guesses. All right, so different hormone imbalances can show up in different body shapes and how or where we're going to gain extra body weight. So estrogen can show up as more weight on the upper thighs and the butt. The adrenal picture, this is usually driven by that cortisol that we were just talking about. It tends to show up as extra belly fat. And in some individuals, they'll end up losing some muscle mass. So you can see this individual kind of has thinner arms, thinner legs, but a more round tummy. With thyroid imbalances, I tend to see weight gain just kind of universally all over the body, not in any particular location. And then this last one is liver. So if there's problems with the liver, we often see that the belly gets more round. And that's going to be driven by things like medications, the toxicities of medications, or things like alcohol. So here's Lynn. She's a nurse. She's a really good example of how hormones can really drive chronic disease. So I had been a diabetic for 16 years along with my high blood pressure. I weighed 234 pounds and I was on 120 units of insulin, as well as 3 other medications. I was tired, I had achy joints, and I never felt well. I was depressed and constantly had difficulty thinking clearly. And for the last 10 years, I had tried eating right and exercising, but it wouldn't work. In just 3 months, I've lost 70 pounds. I've lowered my A1C from 9.8 to 6.6. I've discontinued my insulin and 2 of my medications, and I don't hurt anywhere. I'm reversing my diabetes and I feel better physically and mentally. My worst fear was that I couldn't stick with it. But once I started the plan, I truly had no cravings and no problem sticking with it. This is my life plan now, and I'm amazed every day. So proud of Lynn. I mean, those are remarkable numbers. To get completely off of 120 units of insulin is no easy feat. And she did it. A little note on this mentorship idea. So here's the question. If you decided you wanted to fly an airplane, where would you start? What would be the first thing that you would do if you wanted to fly an airplane?
Go to a class.
Okay, a class, great.
Get some books.
Get some books, find out, get yourself educated, start to learn about it. Get an instructor, great, thank you, Marcia.
Study group.
Study group, I love it. So these all have a common theme, getting the information, absolutely. Let's say you've gone through all the information and now you're in the cockpit. Who are you gonna want next to you?
My cat,
Your cat. Why your cat?
because she's pretty calm.
Who else do you want next to you?
An experienced pilot.
There we go. Maybe someone who knows how to fly the plane. Maybe you've read all the books and you know what all the instruments are supposed to do and they're supposed to mean, but gosh, it'd be nice to have someone right next to you who's done this before. The idea of mentorship is someone who's done this, who can walk with you every step of the way and lead you down the path. So back to these missing pieces. I'm sure many of you have tried some things before, but you still haven't gotten all the results that you want. It's not your fault that you didn't get results before. You didn't know you needed all these pieces in your roadmap. You need detox, you need nutrition, you need fitness, you need to fix and balance hormones, and you need someone to guide you through how to put all of these things together. 94% of all failure is not due to having a system. So my hunch is that everyone on this program has probably tried changing how they eat. They've probably tried exercising. Maybe they've even, dabbled with working on their hormones or done a detox in the past. But if you really want to get lasting, sustainable results, you got to have a system that pulls that all together. So I love this proverb. Tell me, and I may remember. Show me, and I will remember. Involve me, and I will understand.
Mhm.
I want you guys to understand how it feels to have better health. If you have that experience, that kinesthetic feeling of, gosh, I've done all of this work and now I feel totally differently, then the rest of your life is different. It just is. So who here thinks you can change the future of your health? Yeah? Okay, I'm seeing lots of hands going up. Absolutely. Here's what we got to do. We got to order the blood tests, determine the true underlying cause. We got to focus on the cause and not the symptoms. We have to correct the dysfunction and not alter the labs with drugs. We need to address the body as whole. We need a systematic approach. And we need mentoring. So I think this is the list of how we make that happen. So here's Becky. She took control of her health and has more energy and less pain. I've come to realize that it is important for me not to cause those around me to be responsible for my care because of circumstances that I could have controlled, but chose to ignore. Ouch. The reward is well worth the effort. I have more energy, less pain, and my immune system is the best it's been in a long time. So if I can track the coronavirus, I can kick its butt. Becky's a hoot. So here's the crux of it. You got to wake up and stop procrastinating, or else you'll end up like this cat, fat, sick, and depressed.
Mm.
And he's got something on us here. He's got 9 lives. So I think that it's time to decide whether you're interested or committed. Interested is Googling how to fly an airplane. Committed is finding the pilot training program, signing up, and going to bed early so you can get up the next morning and get in the air. Who here is ready to make a commitment to yourselves, to live the life that you really want? Yeah, I hope I'm seeing lots of hands.
I think that cat, that it's its last life, given that photo.
Yeah, he looks kind of miserable. It kind of looks like somebody rubbed something on his head. Yeah. So if you're ready to take action, here's the next step. Before COVID, we would have invited all of you guys to the clinic and we would have done this in person. And you would have got a sense of the clinic and all of us and what we're up to. But since we're doing this virtually, the next step would be to sign up for a discovery call. And that's a 15-minute call with me where we'll go over what you're going through and how you've tried to address your health concerns in the past, how our team can help, and talk about a proactive plan of action. So here's that offer that I promised everyone who stayed on to the end. Drum roll. The special offer is a free 15-minute call with me. And that's just to see if we're a good fit. So we can go over what's been going on, what you've tried in the past, and to see if we're a good fit. So the way that we will get you guys scheduled here, I will put a link here in the chat box. I hope that everyone can get to their chat. And this is a link to our calendar for those calls. So if you're ready to take action, jump on there and snag one of those spots. I think you're muted, Michelle.
I'm not now. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. And thanks very much, Scarlett, for making sure that our winner was selected. So Mary Hall, you won a complimentary ZRT test kit. So
Woohoo.
congratulations.
That's
the-
wonderful.
The test kit that we have available is a blood spot test that will evaluate a complete thyroid panel. So we're really excited for you. That's awesome.